So this is a request from one of you guys to talk about Manifestel. So we've talked about Manifestel, and I just want to say it again because I know her audience usually comes into my chat and calls me a pick Misha. First of all, hilarious. Second of all, listen, I have not resonated with Manifestel's work. I find it to be a reaction out of survival in relation to patriarchy. I have not enjoyed her suggestions for the girlies. I respect the hustle, but I also don't because, again, even though she's educated and seems well-intentioned, I tend to feel very disconnected from the work. And maybe it's because I'm queer. Maybe it's, I don't know, who knows. But she made a video called The Myth of Women's Overconsumption. I made a podcast this week about how overconsumption is not empowerment. So women's overconsumption is not empowerment because I think it's been sold to us through capitalism that it is. It isn't. But now there's a conversation being had. And I have seen, this is so funny, this TikTok she features first. I have seen this TikTok. And I wanted to talk about it, but let's let Manifestel monologue through so we can use her monologue, her content to have this conversation, right? Okay, please go check out my podcast channel and check out that video because I worked really hard on it. Okay.
Y'all ever notice how it's only overconsumption when we're talking about women? Labubus, matcha, purses, blind boxes, etc.
If you ever find me hiding my purchases from a man, save me.
And by the way, I was going to go into more detail about men's overconsumption, but the podcast was over an hour as it was. Men overconsume too. Collections, anime cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, D&D props, figurines, cars, trophies, XYZs. Okay, so men also overconsume, definitely.
Hey, bestie.
Sneakers. Men love their sneakers.
Welcome to the Spoiled Girly Support Group podcast where we talk about how to get that bag while also securing your own bag. I'm your host.
So how to get that bag. That's also like, it's fine, but like very capitalistic. But okay, like, yeah, you want to make money. You want to be financially independent. Okay.
And let's get into it. On today's episode, we are talking about the myth of women's overconsumption. Obviously, overconsumption is a real problem. It harms the planet and it drains personal finances. This part is true. What's not true is the cultural myth that women are uniquely or inherently the problem. That women are these frivolous, impulsive overconsumers destroying the world one manic haul at a time. The myth of women's overconsumption is that number one, overconsumption is driven only by women. And number two, women's normal and necessary purchasing behavior is by default overconsumption. I get it. I try to be an underconsumer myself, so I too am irked by overconsumption, but where do we draw the line between rightfully calling out overconsumptive behavior and misogyny? This TikTok video by Aziology articulated for me exactly why the constant criticisms of women's consumer behavior irked me, and also were starting to give me the ick. And as we talked about in a past class, women's icks are valid and may be rooted in something that we are perceiving but cannot yet fully articulate.
Y'all ever notice how it's only overconsumption when we're talking about women? Labubus, matcha, purses, blind boxes, etc. But like when men spend thousands of dollars on hundreds of thousands of pairs of sneakers, it's not over. I've never seen anybody use the word overconsumption when it comes to men collecting things.
Except my mother. My mother loves to point out how much people spend on things unnecessarily, and it's ungodly. It's a form of gluttony. So yeah, my mother would say, you own too many shoes, give some to the poor. But my mom isn't on the internet, thank God. Oh my God.
Ever. I'm gonna need y'all to just like lay off of women for a second on the whole overconsumption thing.
Aziology ends the video with this. Everybody always thinks that we're making society better by clocking people for different things, but oftentimes it's like misogynistic and falls into the umbrella of just feeding the patriarchy, which is really scary. One of the incidents that really pushed me over the edge was seeing this video by this journaling or stationery TikToker, and I did not save this video, which I fully regret, and now I can't find it, but they're a biggish journaling or stationery TikToker, so if you know who I'm talking about, please share in the comments. Anyway, this TikToker made this video, and she was upset because a YouTuber made a video featuring her, and the video was about overconsumption. And the TikToker was really upset by it and really saddened because journaling and engaging with stationery was her form of self-care. And why can't she have that? Why does she have to be featured on an overconsumption video when all she's doing is following her joy? She's a mom, and journaling and stationery were the few things that she had for herself. And those weren't the exact words that she used, but that's how I recalled her sentiment was. She was so sad, and I was watching her, and it made me sad too. Imagine you're so excited about your hobby and you're sharing it with the internet, and all your online besties think it's cute and the vibes are vibing, and then a YouTuber makes an overconsumption video about you. Okay, it's so heartbreaking.
Okay. Again, because I would never post myself on the internet unless I was a content creator, I really struggle why normies would be posting themselves. Like, even on forums, like, it would have to be a really locked down forum for me to be posting. Do you know what I'm saying? I understand that comment sections thrive because people post, but also I guess I'm just not that girly. So maybe I'm also the reason that those websites wouldn't work, because I wouldn't think at this age, especially, to post those things unless I expected people to treat my content like content to react to. So I get it, but yeah, I struggle with this one. I struggle with the idea that people are posting to TikTok as normies. I do get like Facebook or something because your friends are there. I haven't been on Facebook in 10 years, but like, you know what I mean? I don't even get public Instagrams. Like, I don't even get it. Like, why are you public? Why can people see your stuff unless you're trying to make money? Like, but okay, I'll try to be thoughtful about it. I love a journal. If you want to keep a journal, keep your notebooks. I love reading my journals. I love that it's in my handwriting and it's a testament to like what I was doing at the time and how my handwriting is improved or not improved. So I don't mind a physical journal. But I also assume that anything I post, even in public, private places, will probably get on the internet. And I just like, it is what it is. It's, you know, I understand. Okay, so I'll think about it.
In my own personal life, I know many women who collect things as their hobby. Explicitly, women coded things like purses or Labubus or shoe.
Okay, what is a collection? Let's talk about that. I think collections are overconsumption. If the collection is curated too quickly, if it's a lifelong collection, it's valid. But if your collection started 2 years ago and you have 30,000, that's not collecting. That's over-consuming. Collection is like, for me, it's like, it's something you curate over a long period of time, but it's not like something you go and spend all your money with. Like if you are like, I'm a collector. Oh, when did you start collecting? Last night. But you have like 30 Pikachu stuffies. Yeah, I just bought them all last night. It's like, well, then you're not a collector, you're just a hoarder, or like you know what I mean? So like I also struggle with the word collector a little bit, but I'm open to it meaning different things for different people, right? Like I collected rocks in Arizona, but I put them all back outside when I moved out because I just kept them in the house because they were pretty, but like it's not a real collection. It's not like something I'm going to save. It's something I'm going to, you know, put outside when I leave. You know what I mean?
Also, books. Is having a library now overconsumption too? Where do we?
It is if you're just buying books you've never read. If you like, that's the joke on Book Talk is like, oh, how many of your books have you read? I only had books in my collection I had read. I had over 2,000 books in my collection and I had read every single one. And then I sold them all because I was moving and I couldn't keep taking them places. But realistically, if your book collection is on the shelf and you haven't read most of those books, it's a waste. You could go to the library. We could share resources. We could talk about, you spent $30,000 on books when you could have put it towards something else. Like, let's have conversations about libraries. Why do you even need a book collection? But then that might sound a little communist, right? Why does anyone need to own anything? You know, so I get it. Okay.
Draw the line. And I would hate to yuck these women's yum and tell them that they're over-consuming when they are simply following their joy. Why can't we have nice things? And for a lot of collectors, these purchases are emotional. They mean something. And to paint a wide brush on all of these women as brain-dead over-consumers, like a lot of these think pieces paint them to be.
Oh, I think a lot of over-consumers are emotionally. It's like an addiction. I think overconsumption is an addiction problem. Like, not a real one, but kind of. Like, they're over consuming because they feel left out. They don't feel good enough. They want to keep up with the Joneses. They never feel satisfied with anything in their life. It's a hit dopamine. It's a quick dopamine hit. Like, I think a lot of people collect because it feels, you know, yeah, like overeating. Chat says like overeating. Yeah, but not always. So I agree, not always. But then maybe that is the difference between over consuming and collecting. Is collection thoughtful? I mean, it's subjective, but is it, you know what I mean? I have a collection, you know what I mean? Like, is that maybe you put thought into? I don't know.
I think is a practice laden with misogyny. Misogyny that we willingly internalize because it is under the guise of something generally reasonable. The premise that overconsumption is bad. So on today's episode, we will address the myth of women's overconsumption, that only we women are guilty of it, and that our normal purchasing behavior due to us anticipating others' needs as a form of care work.
Ooh, chat says my mom taught us all to ascribe sentimental values to items and now we're all pack rats. I think about that all the time. Exactly. Versus my mother is the opposite. My mom is like, they're just things, give them to people who need them. But my mom, I think, is neurodivergent. So I think she gets sensory overload from having too many things in the house. So people would always say, like, I can't believe you have 10 kids. I can't tell. And that's because my mom would just like, she hates clutter. She hates it. And my mom's just like, give it to somebody, give it to somebody. And I'm similar. Actually, my partner asked me the other day, what did we say? Oh, he was like, oh, if you want to, we could get a toaster. If you want a toaster. I was like, no more appliances, no more things on my counter, no more. And he was like, and I was like, I can't. If I have too many things on the counter, I'm just going to feel like the house is always messy. Like it's too many things. And then we have to wipe down, we have to lift it up. Like, stop, we don't need a toaster, and there's something about that. We're like, I think we think our decisions are really thoughtful, but some of it is just like, I'm stressed. No, I don't want one more thing to clean or one more thing to move around or one more thing to. So, okay, there's like something to be said about like, but why? Okay. Are you, do we,
is by default overconsumptive behavior. And okay, why are we even talking about this? It's because it is so important to dispel these myths because they leave women feeling like they can't engage in their joy, like they can't do anything right, like they cannot take up space. And like the very habits that keep their families, communities, and entire economies functioning are somehow shameful. These myths punish women for self-care, family care, and community care, and foresight. And they trick us into believing that our economic influence is a liability instead of what it truly is, one of the most powerful levers women have to shape culture, markets, innovation, and the future.
Okay, what if you have family members? Like I noticed my in-laws are so cute. First of all, they're so great. They're very lovely. They have their love language is they tend to get us knickknacks. And they're so cute. And some of them can be from like maybe places I wouldn't shop at, or maybe it's like things that I'm like, okay, that's cute, but like, how long am I expected to keep this? And now I assume years, which is fine. Most of the stuff they're getting us are like Christmas decorations we can keep for a long time, right? They're cute. But, I always try to tell people, you don't have to buy us anything. But to them, and I think they're right, the intuition is right, that like, it's just a little knickknack, who cares? But did any of you guys grow up with a junk drawer growing up? I am very proud to say that we have no junk drawer in the kitchen. But we do have a junk basket. So we didn't really, we have a junk basket and it stays in the closet where it belongs, okay? But we do not have a junk drawer in the kitchen. My whole life, I grew up with a junk drawer. I was like, why do we even have this? But I get it. It's like the little knickknacks that you don't know what to do. So you just put it in the place. And we have a basket. And I told my partner, I was like, please, we can't have this on the table. We can't. It looks so messy and I hate it. It's just overwhelming. Please put it in the closet where I can't see it. And so it lives in the closet. Okay, I just don't want to see it. I don't want to know it exists. It's just like, can we please? But I get it because we have nowhere to put that. They're the most miscellaneous things. I don't even know what to do with them. And there's stuff we need eventually, like batteries for the air conditioning or something. It's like, we're going to need this eventually, but we made an oath to each other when we got married that we would not collect things just to have them. And we made an oath that we would not keep wires for things we don't need. So we're pretty good at not just buying things to buy them, but we do, you know what I mean? It can feel overwhelming. Discord said is not a junk drawer. It's a spare part drawer. Oh yes, of course. Yeah, spare parts. We're gonna need that later. We're definitely gonna need it later. You know what I mean? But if you know, you know. It's a very interesting phenomenon. But I think that's kind of why I think we're like birds. We're such little collectors. You know what I mean? We're such little collectors, and we just like, oh, maybe we'll need this, or maybe we'll need. Oh, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. But I have run into a lot of women who earn a living, they're college educated, they make a lot of money, and they buy. But guys, they are buying because they have like a problem. So again, it's not that your women or men are buying. The question is, why are you buying? Why are you buying? And also, hey, hear me when I say this. Why aren't you buying? Oh, I never buy myself new things. I never get new clothes. I never get a new car. I never get anything. Why not? Also, oh, I'm a minimalist. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, I'm extra frugal. What does that mean? Because could also be mental health, right? Like being extreme on either end could be a sign of like, uh-oh, why are you doing this?
Today, I will show you how through your purchasing power, you embody exactly how you are the source, you are creation, and you are the future. After this class, you can now stop hiding your shopping from your husband. Now we have a lot to cover, but before
See how much I don't like this bubble? I just don't like this bubble. I know Manifest community doesn't like me, and every time I make a video, they call me a pick Misha in the chat, and I hear you girls, but I just cannot get on board. I don't know if it's because like the heterosexuality of it or like what it is. You know, chat said it's pink pilled. I don't know what it is, but it's exhausting to me.
we get into it, I need you to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you never miss a spoiled girly episode. With that being said, let's get into it. This episode is sponsored by Brevo. Brevo is the go-to automation and CRM platform for businesses looking to enhance their marketing strategies and meaningful relationships with their customers through powerful email marketing, automation, SMS, chat, and customer relationship management tools. With Brevo, you can turn every email, every SMS, every order,
Yeah, Chad said, to be fair, I used to watch her, but I don't fit anymore. Yeah, well, I became aware of Manifest because somebody on my Discord was like, brought her up. Can you review her? And then people in my audience were, even this one, I didn't know this video was out, but somebody in my members chat said, Brittany, like, can you review this video? So you guys there is an audience overlap somehow.
into a lifetime customer. As you may know, I started I Love Isla last year, and I know the value in repeat customers. To this day, even with minimal marketing, I still have customers coming back, not just once, twice, but 3, 4, all the way to 14 times. I am a big believer in social media marketing, but this is only one piece of a business owner's marketing ecosystem. Email and SMS marketing are also equally important. Brevo
She might have been making a joke about hiding her purchases from her partner, but that is a bubble that exists where like people hide things from their partners about how they spend money. But that's why I do complete transparency with my partner and we buy things together. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not his money, my money, it's our money. You know, it's not her money, my money, it's our money. Like, if she's going to buy something, I'm going to know about it. And if I'm going to buy something, she's going to know about it because we have nothing to hide. Like, there's just like, we're not hiding anything. We don't lie to each other. And if you were hiding purchases from me, that feels like a lie. Like, what?
is perfect for anyone starting their own business, as well as the marketing girlies who live and breathe marketing. As a marketing girly myself, I know how important it is to have the right tools for the job, which is why I'm glad to partner with Brevo. Brevo simplifies your marketing and streamlines email and text marketing, which helps boost engagement and keep your customers coming back. Brevo can also help your business grow through analytics.
Yeah, Chet said, Spoiled Girlies, which is her brand, gives capitalism. Why would our bubble enjoy her content outside of examining it from a philosophical perspective? Yeah, that's the thing, though. When I've criticized her in the past, people have been like, no, Brittany, she's very aware of systems and structures. I couldn't tell if she's a liberal or progressive or somebody right in between. But like sometimes she says things and I'm like, okay. And then other times she says other things and I'm like, huh? Like I can't tell if it's giving liberal, like, you know, lean in feminism. But the way she talks is almost like, maybe because she's Asian, she is coming from that lens, which allows her to have a deeper understanding than, like, no offense to like a white woman who would have the conversation. She doesn't give white women lean in feminism, but she gives like, I'm aware of what it's like to be a minority, but also capitalism. And it's confusing. I'm just like confused.
And targeted campaigns via email marketing or SMS, marketing automations or AI, and WhatsApp. So if you're looking to turn a single email or text or order into lifelong customers, go to get.brevo.com/manifestl or click the link in the description and use code manifestl to get 50% off.
Oh, Discord said she's socially progressive but economically liberal. Maybe.
On Brevo starter and
Let's
standard
see
plans
what
for
she
the
says.
first 3 months. This offer applies to all new paying customers. That's get.brevo.com/manifestl and use code manifestl to save 50% off on your new subscription. Now back to the topic.
Okay, let's see.
This is where we all get gotten. We are primed to hate on each other and hate each other and internalize misogyny through seemingly innocuous and reasonably hateable concepts. In this case, overconsumption is used as a gateway to misogyny because who is the main target of overconsumption criticism? Women. And I am not the only one who has observed this pattern. This commenter said,
Don't worry, I have a video coming up, a podcast that's going to be, why do young girls date older men? Oh, you just get ready. Because all the men were like, oh, I bet you won't make that video. What do you do? Is that the patriarchy too? Yes. Second, I have a video coming up about men and consumerism because I just know, like, listen, I'm not trying to be a gender war person here because it's so reductive. But, oh, trust me when I say all of us are victims of patriarchy and capitalism, regardless of gender. Nice try, though.
There are entire creators on this app whose brands are focused on calling out women on their overconsumption, but never men. If you look up overconsumption on social media, go on the creators' profiles who make these types of videos. Who is the subject of all their content? Women. Women and their female-coded consumption. Purses, shoes, Labubus, blind boxes, Stanley cups.
Well, it's because men would never allow themselves to be called an overconsumer because it's a proof of their ability to make money. if men are known to have more capital than women, then one is to assume that women are actually not spending what they've earned. They're spending their husband's money or credit cards, versus men, because the patriarchy allows them to, quote, own the capital. We assume when men spend money, they have it. When they don't, it's all about imagery, right? The patriarchy allows you to assume that because men have more capital, they must be spending real money. But we know men go into debt to try to look cool in front of their boys every day.
That Starbucks bear cup. This type of content others these overconsumptive women and teaches us to distance ourselves from them.
Oh, cannot be me. I'm not like these other women.
If this is not a reflection of how patriarchy has gotten us, then I don't know what is. By the way, if you have been getting this ick as well, comment down below because I really feel like we're onto something here. And listen, I am an underconsumption stan. I support the underconsumption queens, but at the same time, I am so icked out by the constant barrage of overconsumption criticism directed at women. It makes me really sad that I, at some point, was consuming these videos and really internalizing how overconsumptive women are, and I vowed to not be like them. I really was falling into the, I'm not like other girls. I'm not overconsumptive like other girls. But one day, one of my girlfriends showed me her collection of things, and she was so passionate about it. You could see the literal joy in her eyes. She explained the meaning behind every little piece of her collection, where she got it, why she got it, who got it for her, what milestones were signified by each purchase. And if overconsumption talk ever got a hold of this collection, they would shame her and tell her that
You're over-consuming. Stop that.
but how could I ever hate on her and her collection and her consumption behavior? And then it hit me. I have been gotten by misogynist messaging that women's purchasing behavior by default is overconsumption. That collecting items and having more than one of one thing is bad behavior and should be called out and shamed. In reality, I was ashamed of myself. That before this encounter with my girlfriend, I thought that collecting anything was shameworthy overconsumption. And I really did internalize the misogyny that I consumed on social media. I internalized this messaging so much that I donated all of my physical books, except for like 10. I donated all of my fiction books, my nonfiction books, books I loved, annotated, cried on. I have my Kindle, and since I read so much, I thought that it was better to only have digital copies so that I wouldn't fall into overconsumption, so that I wouldn't take up too much space.
Oh, I think digital hoarding is just as much overconsumption as anything else. Oh, that's interesting. I don't think of overconsumption as only physical items. Interesting. Okay. I see where she's coming from though. She had a bubble pop, had a realization she was judging. I would say this is a better direction she's heading into, but I don't think it's complete yet. But okay. I think she's right. She shouldn't have given away her books or anything unless she wanted to. Okay. Yeah, I don't think the issue is that you have again, the issue is like, is this needed? Why am I doing it? It's always why. Why am I doing it? And does this make sense? Okay.
And after having this come to Jesus moment that I am shrinking myself, this underconsumption rabbit hole I have allowed myself to sink into is teaching me that I don't deserve to take up space. That my normal, joy-led, and very reasonable purchasing behavior is something to be ashamed of. And now that I'm healing from that, I vowed to allow myself to take up space again. So once again, I am rebuilding my physical book collection. And that's also why I started showing physical books on this channel. That was the beginning of my healing era, and you were there for it. So yeah, that happened to me. Now imagine how many other women this is happening to, because I cannot be the—
Okay, no. Okay. So one of the reasons I could not engage in a collection like that would be because I can't afford it. So next, the question is it responsible to have a collection before you have a house? So as an example, one of the reasons I couldn't keep my book collection was because I couldn't afford to move it from place to place. So then I wish I could go back, and instead of spending all the money I did on books, I wish I had saved that money and used it for like a down payment on a house, right? I wish I had, some more, I wish and I was at libraries a lot, guys. I was reading like 30 books a month from libraries. So I was also, 2,000 books are just what I owned, right? Like, not to mention all the books that oh my God. I just vomited a little. Is that 2,000 times 15 is about $30,000? I think I did spend that much on books, and probably I was buying new books all the time. And yeah, one book a day. I was reading one book a day. My library had to make a special request for me to be able to take out that many books a month. Guys, when I say I lived and breathed books for an era of my life, I was working and reading, and fucking. Working, reading, and fucking. That's it, baby. That was my whole life. Okay. So, Okay, Matilda, it really was, girl. Yes, autism. It was definitely autism, you know? And that was it. That was my identity. I'd go to parties with a book in my hand, and people were like, "Are you literally reading that book?" I'm like, almost done. I'd be like at work shifts, you know? Chess says, "How fast do you read?" I'm a pretty fast reader. And my partner was just commenting that on the other day. Like, they're like, "Oh, in my head, I'm a very fast reader." Out loud, actually, because of stream, I've had to practice reading out loud. I have never been a good reader out louder. So you see how much I struggle? In my head, I'm fast as fuck, bro. Because like, how many times do I tell you on stream, I can hear it in my head, I know how to say it, but I can't say it out loud. My brain, very fast. My mouth, very slow. Okay? It is very slow. This thing is so slow. But my brain, very fast. You know? But anyways, all of this to say, my biggest recommendation to you is hold up, wait for that collection, and put that money towards a house or towards investments if you can. You know what I mean? Like towards, you know, your education maybe. Like go to the library, do free things. I know you want to collect something. Like, look, we have all of this art. I have all of this art I need to put in frames and get up on walls, but we're waiting till we have a house, right? Because like, why am I going to put it on walls of an apartment that I feel like I just don't want to do that. I don't want to spend the money because it does cost money that we would rather put towards a house right now. So again, it's not that you're guaranteed to always live in the house you buy, but I mean, it's a pretty good bet that you'll probably be able to die in the house you buy. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Okay. So that's what I would say versus Manifestel is saying, go buy your books. And I'm saying, well, hold up. Maybe collect books for free if you can, or go to garage sales and buy them cheap. But maybe save that money for a house or something more stable for your retirement first. Yeah. I just, how many boys do we know with 30,000 Yu-Gi-Oh card collections, $30,000 worth of collections of dragon figurines, and they live in their mom's basement? It's like, that's okay. You live in your mom's basement, unless that's not okay. And then priorities are a question. Or how many girls do you know who spent all of this money, you know what I mean? Because they're not looking towards the future. Again, it's like, I want you to have those things after, when it's more appropriate. But I get you. I say this as a girly who spent a lot of her money unwisely.
Only one. I have never had a unique experience in my life. I cannot be the only one who was affected negatively by consuming overconsumption criticism media that are solely targeted towards women. Another TikTok creator made a similar video pointing out how we don't call men's overconsumptive behavior overconsumption when they are essentially doing the exact same thing.
Why is overconsumption always talked about with women but not with men? I live in kind of like a outdoorsy area where men are like really obsessed with like brand names and gear. And y'all, they have shopping addictions. It's still present with men.
Definitely.
And I don't understand why we don't talk about this, because I feel like a lot of men that I've met within the past year, they all have shopping addictions, like worse than like the women I've met.
Don't even get me started on the rise of micro gambling as a result of the popularity of sports betting, which young men are more likely to engage in.
I 100% agree with Manifestel on this and that TikToker, that men are suffering too, and patriarchy has convinced us all that we are what we buy, and this is not new, and boys need to stop it as well.
And it is costing them so much money, ruining their credit scores.
Think again, the same difference between a girl moving into an apartment and decking it out with like furniture right away and art, so people don't make fun of it for being sparse. It's the same as a guy decorating his whole apartment with things. Like, did you even want to decorate your apartment this way, or did you just do it so it didn't look empty? Like, move me to an empty apartment before I would spend money decorating it just to have the walls filled. Like, that's what overconsumption is. It's saying, oh, you just moved to somewhere, you got to fill it up with stuff. What did that girl say? Jaclyn Hill? She said, Jaclyn Hill has a shopping addiction. She goes, I don't, who cares? This house takes a lot of stuff. She was buying stuff on Amazon just to fill her house with stuff. And I'm saying, why? Because we've been trained that way. We've been trained that way.
Providing a gateway to dysfunctional addictive behavior. But yeah, let's talk about women and their labubus. And this comment really stuck with me because they, men, get categorized as collectors and hobbyists. But if we have the same hobbies, it's a shopping addiction, overconsumption, etc. Exactly. Where do we draw the line? I honestly don't know. But we can all agree that overconsumption is a real problem. And that if men are overconsuming, that's not a good thing. And that if women are overconsuming, that is also not a good thing. But where does the criticism cross the line from reasonable to good old misogyny? And I think I learned the hard way that when you internalize all the overconsumption criticism content, largely directed at women, to the point that you find yourself not worthy of taking up space and engaging in your joy.
Also, it's because women are expected to do charity when men are not. So obviously a lot of the girlies who make a lot of money on TikTok are under scrutiny right now for not donating to Angel Tree or doing stuff like that. And a lot of that scrutiny comes from the bubbles that claim to be more left-leaning or caring about people. Because obviously, guys, I hate to tell you this. I hope you know in Red Pill bubbles and all those other bubbles, no one's complaining that the men aren't giving to charity. It's just because you decided to put yourself in a bubble where people expect that of you. And then when you don't perform, we're like, hello? Like, hello? So that's the thing. Like Jaclyn Hill and all these people and Michaela saying like, oh, like I donated, you know, I can't believe you guys are bullying me to donate, that kind of attitude. It's because you decided to put yourself in a bubble where we had the expectation of you. If you joined a different bubble, we wouldn't have this expectation of you. Not all bubbles actually expect you to donate.
That's where you have crossed the line. That's where you have internalized the misogyny fed to you. All this to say, the myth that women purchasing multiple versions of one thing is by default overconsumption is rooted in the misogynistic belief that women are not allowed to take up space. Obviously with nuance, no nuance, Nelly. And only you can tell when you have gone too far. Maybe you're running out of space. The collection is becoming a biohazard. Your collecting behavior is no longer allowing you to save money and fund your retirement and to work towards your financial goals.
Okay.
Only you know when you get to that point. Otherwise, don't let the haters get you down. And since I have experienced it firsthand, I can think of other behaviors that a lot of women think are normal and funny and kooky regarding their consumption behaviors.
Okay.
I'm talking about women hiding their shopping from their partners.
Oh, let's definitely talk about that. Okay, I agree with that last sentence. I think she's right. I think ultimately we want to get ourselves away from overconsumption. I will just say though, like, do we need purses in the same three different colors? And also, do we need name brand purses? And also, do we need to buy? Okay, example, somebody in my comment section of the podcast was talking about, in my overconsumption video, was talking about Hermes, and they were like, actually Hermes has like a really good policy. They're really good to their employees. You should look into it. Like, I wouldn't buy this bag, it's too expensive, but they're a really ethical company. And again, is this made out of animal flesh? Are these bags real leather? Are they still $12,000 bags? Like, again, I think Manifestel, if I'm not mistaken, would probably be okay thinking spending $20K on a bag is not a big deal if you've earned it. But in my mind, the question is, when do you ever earn the justification for a $20,000 bag? Like, not out of punishment, but out of values. Like, is this something we should be spending $20,000 on? You know what I mean? A bag? A bag? A bag. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, theoretically, I get it. But in practice, it feels really unethical. You know, and obviously personally immoral.
If you ever find me hiding my purchases from a man, save me. Because
What do you mean? What do you mean?
you drove all the way to the store, you took your time picking out supplies.
When you're trying to hide all your shopping bags from your boyfriend, but it's too late. Yeah, there's a whole bubble of this. There's a whole bubble where people think it's funny to hide that you've overshopped with your husband or whatever. I don't think it's funny though.
For the house, which you have researched extensively to suit your household's needs, you hauled all of these items from the shopping cart into your car, you drove home, and now you have to hide the results of all of that labor?
Ridiculous.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
Even online
not.
shopping and ordering things is labor. And then you have to make these items magically appear in the home to suit everyone's needs? Like, you're not Santa. Your labor must be
Oh, she's not talking about shopping just for you. She's talking about when you go shopping, like grocery shopping, shopping for the family, shopping for the household. Okay.
seen and made visible. Everyone needs to know how much you put into these items appearing in your home. If you have ever done any shopping for the household, that is nothing to be ashamed of. It is a lot of work. It is not frivolous. It is not irresponsible. It is literally a form of care work, the work of keeping everyone alive, comfortable, fed, and functioning. Sociologist Alison Daminger identifies 4 components of the cognitive labor that runs households. Daminger writes, I conclude that cognitive labor is best defined as the work of anticipating needs, identifying options for meeting those needs, deciding among the options, and monitoring the results.
My partner does a lot of this labor. This is my partner's primary job in the relationship. Their primary job is to predict needs. I do not pay attention to most of anything in the house. Like if I need something or if I realize something is missing, I'll tell him. But generally, like, he's in charge of restocking soaps and detergents and cleaning products and staples in the kitchen, like spices and like that's not something I have to think about because it's not, quote, my part of the labor. Of course, I help when I can, but generally that is his responsibility. So they take care of all of that. But a lot of their brain power is in that thing. So even today, before I started to stream, they were like, what do you need from the store? And I said, I need vegan, plant-based protein powder, but I don't want to spend as much as the DM has, because we have a DM, which is a German store here in Croatia. It's very popular. I love it. And then we have a grocery store. And I said, I don't want you to go to the DM, which I really love, and buy their protein powder. It's too expensive. I said, can you go to the other store and tell me how much it could be? Can you take a picture? And then he came home with pictures of the different ones, because I also was like very picky about flavors. And that stuff he can do while I'm going to work. So while I started work today, my partner was doing their job, which is like going to the store, researching, coming back, looking at results, helping me do one less thing so I could do this, right? So it's like it is a part of that labor. Or like, you know, Indiana's food, Indiana's medications, doing good doctor's appointments, vet appointments, government appointments, like that's all my partner. That's not me. I don't do any of that stuff. You know, talking to the landlord, paying rent. Like, I mean, I pay rent with technically my job, but like he sends in the payments, like he does the communication. He does, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of labor that goes into that. A lot of labor that people discount, you know, and that's why when people say like, oh, does your partner work? It's like, yes. Oh, does your partner bring in money? It's like, no. But my partner labors. Yeah, he does the logistics. Exactly. He does all the logistics, you know? Chad said, Britt, how would you go about this if you were single? It's kind of exhausting to do this alone. And I wonder if that's why women settle sometimes. It crossed my mind. Yeah, for sure. I think when I talk to my single girlies, especially, they sometimes will even like notice one of the benefits to like, let's say they're settling for a friends with benefits type thing, is because like, it's just really nice to have a helping hand. If I've only lived alone once, and for actually a pretty short time, I had my own apartment. It was really fun living by myself. To be honest, I did fairly well, but a part of that was because, I'm a very routine-y kind of girly. So like I was working at the nanny job and I was working for YouTube. So I had 2 jobs at the time. And everything was on a schedule. Like even now, everything is on a schedule. Everything I do is scheduled. So example, I'm always experimenting with my schedules as well. I've changed my schedule up again, where usually I spend, because I'm privileged enough, I get to do this. I spend like 2 hours a day cooking, which is such a privilege, in the morning before work. But that's kind of fucking up my work schedule because I got to record stuff before I come stream. So I decided to start prepping at night. And making my dinner ahead of time for the morning, and then making my dinner again that night, because I can make dinner after stream. And that's been okay. I've only been doing a couple days, so who knows? But normally what would happen is I would wake up, take my coffee, catch up on like messages, start making food, but it would take up like my whole morning spoons. And then I couldn't record. And then I'd be like, I'm too tired. And then I'm chronically ill. And then I had to stream, and then I had to edit. And I was like, I'm burning out. So then I was like, okay, new change. What if I took this away from myself? Okay. And so the idea is like, instead of committing to a schedule, change it as often as you need to adapt to the new you. And if I was single, that's what I would do. I would schedule things out realistically. Don't lie to yourself, be realistic. And then I would try to do those things. So I would say, here's what I have to get done tomorrow. Here's what can wait. Here's what has to get done this many days a week. So I have a wash hair day. I have, like a retinol day. I have my like, you know, whatever hair dye day. I have a day for like cleaning the house. We like clean the house, you know, once a week. We like go through everything and kind of like do a big refresh for the house. Obviously you do your little maintaining during the week, but like one day a week is like, okay, we're locked in, clean the house, you know, and that helps, you know? So stuff like that, like do whatever you have to do to make it happen, but be realistic about your expectations. Be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, you know? You said, do you ever have days when you don't get it done? It throws everything off. It's sort of like that. Oh yeah. I'm sort of like that. Like, so, or no, you said if you have days where you don't get to, does it throw it off? I'm sort of like that. Like, get to follow my schedule because, okay, this is why I don't lie to myself. Okay, hold on. Let me bring out my phone for a second. So if I look at my phone, I won't show you my calendar because it's crazy. Okay, so on Tuesday, the 16th, that's today. Okay, it's my nephew's birthday. That's sweet. I just outed his birthday. I have to stream. Okay, I have to, I already had spaghetti made, so I got to eat it this morning, which was good. And I have a workout I have to do later, and I have to record. So have to record. Okay, have to acknowledge nephew. Have to work out. Have to stream. Okay, things that I'm open to doing, but probably won't get to. Film OnlyFans photo shoot. That's not happening today. That's not happening today. Okay, I put it down as a maybe. It's not happening. I'm too tired. I can tell. I can tell my fibro sucks. It's not happening. Okay. Same thing for tomorrow. Get ready for stream. I have to write down a note that says prep dinner or prep because now I'm starting a new schedule. Prep for breakfast tomorrow. So now I'm prepping my breakfast. Okay. And that's going to be a new thing that I have to implement. Okay. The idea is like put down things that you have to get done and things you want to get done. And everything that you want to get done can go to the next day until they're a have to get done and then you have to do them. So then you schedule your spoons around that thing. That's how I do it. So I gear myself up for my spoons. I go, no, I can't do that. I have to have spoons to do this thing. Does that make sense? Because like sometimes you don't have the spoons. Okay. But I did it today, girls. I woke up. Okay. I had a great morning. I pre-made food yesterday, so I didn't have to do it today. And I recorded a 2-hour reaction video that I have to edit down now. But I recorded it, so I got that done. And then I started stream today. So how long have I been streaming? 4 hours. So I've at least put in about 7 hours of work today already. And then I'll be here for another couple of hours. And that's just for recording, streaming. Also, I guess you can count getting ready, like taking a shower and stuff like that. And doing my hair. My hair takes 45 minutes to an hour just to dry. Right? So I'm sitting there with my coffee and I'm just drinking my coffee and like drying my hair. So like an hour of just drying my hair goes by during the day. You know what I mean? So there's that. You know, you said sometimes you just wake up and don't have the energy. Well, I will say this. If I wake up and I don't have the energy, the question I always ask myself is, what don't I have the energy for? What needs to be asked? So sometimes it's work. Sometimes it's stream. Sometimes I'm out of spoons and I'm too tired and I say I can't stream today. Sometimes things cannot be sacrificed. So and this is not the best, you take spoons from tomorrow. You go into your spoon bank and you ask for a loan from the bank. I don't recommend this. And then you use tomorrow's spoons for today, and then you have to make it up eventually. And it takes a long time to recover, but that's sometimes what happens, which sucks, you know? So it just depends on what you can do. You know, what can you do? You know? All right, back to Manifestel.
I further find that women in the study carry a heavier cognitive load than their male partners, and in particular, complete a disproportionate amount of anticipation and monitoring work. Let me read that again. Women complete a disproportionate amount of anticipation and monitoring work. And here's where the overconsumption comes in. If you are the one responsible for anticipating everyone's needs, you become the one responsible for purchasing to meet those needs. That is not overconsumption. It is duty. It is holding the household together.
She's equating different things. I never assumed mothers were overconsuming, and she was showing pictures of not mothers shopping for houses, but mothers shopping for clothes or women shopping for clothes. So I think her visuals aren't making sense to me. Let's rewind it.
Needs a result of the work item. You're not late. These items.
These are not household items. These are clothing bags. These are not for the family. This is for her. Right? Like this isn't household items. So I'm a little confused why she equating the imagery she's using to like household items. I'm a little confused at that decision. I don't know what that means.
Particular disproportionate is not overconsumption. It is duty. It is holding the household together. Because if you don't buy the toilet paper, the right kind of toilet paper, no one else magically will. It's knowing that winter is coming, so the kids may need new sweaters. It's buying extras of stuff on sale, so when you need them, you don't have to buy at the inflated regular prices. So the problem really isn't women's purchasing behavior. The problem is a culture that demands that we do this unpaid labor and then shames us for the evidence of it. It is yet another example of the damned if you do, damned if you don't positions that women are cornered into within patriarchy. You are mandated to perform care work, but when you do the tasks that are then part of that care work, you are doing it wrong and you need to be shamed for it. And actually, you will learn to be embarrassed by it. And
Yeah, I don't understand because even in the traditional patriarchal bubbles, women are supposed to be at the store buying for the household. It's when they buy for themselves, they're punished. So I agreed with her premise that when women buy for themselves, they're punished. When women buy from the household, they're praised because that's what patriarchy wants you to do. It wants you to take all of your time and effort buying for the family and never yourself. And you're selfish when you invest in yourself, which is what I thought she was going for. So now I'm a little confused. Maybe she just didn't mean to use that imagery. Maybe she fucked up on the edit.
make jokes at your own expense, all while still doing that labor.
You make it do too much labor.
It irks me to no end seeing these hiding my shopping from my husband videos. Like, no, if you have to hide your shopping from your husband and it's literally just groceries, a sweet
But it's not, Habibi. Nobody's hiding shopping from their husband and it's groceries. This is what I mean. What?
little treat, a couple of little trinkets, like, can we not? And what is really insidious about this general sentiment that it's cute to hide your shopping from your husband is this notion that women should be ashamed of driving the national retail economy. Like, no, that's power, purchasing power, and we should own it, not hide it in our trunks.
That's the capitalism idea, right? Like, I agree. You dictate where you spend your money and it's important and it's a part of your power. Let's see where she goes with it, though.
This not so cutesy cultural meme of hiding your shopping from your husband frames women's economic influence as something sneaky, embarrassing, or childish, when in reality, it is one of the most powerful forms.
Let's read some of these. When I go shopping, but my dad's home, so I have to hide the bags.
Something sneaky, embarrassing, or
Mom, who used to hide our shopping bags in the car so dad wouldn't see.
childish, when in reality, it is one
When my mom and I have shopping day, then hide half of the shopping bag so my dad doesn't know how much we really spent.
of the most powerful forms of social and cultural leverage women,
You're trying to hide all your shopping bags from your husband.
when in reality, it is one of the most powerful forms of social and cultural leverage women have. As women have gained economic power, their economic influence has expanded. Women long held primary purchasing responsibility for everyday household items, but today they control or influence 85% of consumer spending. In other words, the economy moves where women move. The entire consumer marketplace orients itself around the needs women anticipate. And instead of being embarrassed by that, women should be owning it. Women's purchasing power can shape product development, reward ethical companies, direct funding towards female founders, push industries toward accessibility, safety, and quality, influence which cultural values thrive and which ones die out. Women have been trained to think that our consumption is the problem, but our default consumption isn't the problem. Unquestioned consumption is. And our shame for our default consumption keeps us from seeing our economic behavior as a tool for collective good. Imagine if women saw themselves not as overconsumers, but as market architects, as tastemakers, as drivers of national demand, who can then push these companies to innovate in ways that materially improve everybody's lives. Because that is what we already are. That is what we already do. So no, please do not hide your purchases in your trunk. Understand your purchases, own them, and direct them with intention, because women are not just participants in the economy. We are steering it. Dig deeper and you'll see the female consumer dollar drives both the acceleration of new consumer brands and associated activity.
Okay, she's saying, I can't tell if this is like, hold on. Okay, let's see.
Around creator and with intention, because women are not just participants in the economy. We are steering it.
Well, girl, I hope not, because we're steering it right into the ground. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I hope we're not in charge right now, because whoever's in charge is steering it into the ground. I actually don't think that's true. I still think the patriarchy and men are primarily in charge of the economy. I just think women uphold it. And they are driving it into the ground because they're convincing us we all need it. And women are, you know, I would agree with her if she said that we need to change how we're participating in it. I agree with, is that what she's saying? But like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, chats and corporations are very good at selling things and targeting their ads towards women. Hello? Please go watch my new podcast. I got to bring it up. Guys, I said this about that same company, Bulgari. The company that, what's her name? Pokimane bought her $12,000 ring from. It's all targeted towards women.
Maybe it's a little controversial, maybe not, but I feel like no one really talks about it.
Rich influencers are, she's literally like, the company's like for strong, liberated women, or like strong, independent women, or like, it's literally targeted towards women. They're literally using that's what I'm saying. Like, I really want this video to do better. You know, like, people should see this video. It's good.
Dig deeper and you'll see the female consumer dollar drives both the acceleration of new consumer brands and associated activity around creators and influencers, e-commerce enablement, and supply chain. The influence of the female dollar can be
I think she's right to inspire women to spend their money more consciously. I think that's true.
felt in consumer-facing categories like education, healthcare, food, and financial technology. When thinking about the female consumer, it's more appropriate to ask which industries are not influenced by the female dollar. And when women recognize this power, we can then use it to create a world that actually serves us.
Okay, she said when women recognize this power.
And when women recognize this power,
So she's saying you don't even know it yet, but like you are moving the economy, which is true. Like we don't even know it yet, but let's be real. Like a lot of women are so beholden to their husbands about how they spend their money. And the women who are making jokes about hiding like bags from their husbands are usually in relationships where the man's like, oh, the wife spending my money. And the wife's like, tee-hee. And they kind of have a consensual women overspend stereotype in their relationship, which is not healthy and should be deconstructed, right?
we can then use it to create a world that actually serves us. Your joy matters. Your intuition matters. Your ability to see what others need before they see it themselves is not a flaw or something to be ashamed of. It is a skill honed by duty. If anything, this shaming of women's normal purchasing behavior, which is part of our care work, is in itself embarrassing. This shaming of women's normal joy-directed purchasing behavior is also in itself embarrassing. That is so embarrassing for them, not for you. Even through your purchasing behavior, your economic power, it is very clear that you are creation, you are the source, and you are the future. And it's time you wake up to that. That's
You listen, what is gender really? I don't know if I believe in women this hard, but you know, she's like very like into women. I'm into women too. Just maybe I'm not this kind of, my gender deconstruction journey is leading me out of this bubble. I don't really think of like being a woman this way, right? But like, okay.
all I have for you today. I just want to let you know that you have so much inherent worth and value in a world that is hell-bent on devaluing you. And a big thank you to today's sponsor, Bravo, for sponsoring today's video. If you're looking to turn a single email or text or order into lifelong customers, go to get.bravo.com/manifestl or click the link in the description and use code manifestl to save 50% off on Bravo starter and standard plans for the
Interesting.
first 3 months. This offer applies to all new paying subscriptions. That's get.bravo.com/manifestl and use code manifestl to save 50% off on your new subscription. Now get that bag, bestie. Also, bestie, wake up.
Yeah, it's just I still don't get her content very. I think her content would have been so interesting to me as a liberal when I was like in my 20s and a little older. Like I probably would have really liked it. You know, I would have thought it was so empowering when I was like, you know, I want it, I got it, you know, but let's see, my ex came home with $500 to $800 of climbing equipment a month, but I spent too much on groceries. So there is, to be fair to Manifestel, a bubble that I'm probably not aware of men who don't look. You have to budget with your partner. You know what I'm saying? Like my partner isn't allowed to tell me I spend too much on groceries because we don't spend money. We have a budget. How can I spend too much on groceries? We have a budget. You know what I mean? So if you're in a relationship with your husband spent $800 on climbing equipment but complained about your spending on groceries, both of you have a problem. Like, we need to sit down and talk about this, or you need to divorce this person, as if people aren't settling. I think that's my issue. You can't use toxic relationships as the starting off point for what you do. That's why I don't resonate with Manifesto's content, but I think if you're in an abusive relationship, you will. A lot of women said, Brittany, like, Manifesto really saved me. Yeah, girlies, if you're in an abusive relationship, her content's probably pretty helpful. But if you're not in one, her content doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, it can make sense, but like, you know, in healthy, functional families, we're in this as a team. Okay? There's no spending $500 a month on whatever. Like, there's none of that. And I know that. I know a lot of girls and men, I know both genders are struggling with money. A lot of people are struggling with addiction. A lot of people are struggling in this economy. And people aren't sitting down and having real conversations about money. I know. And you know what's worse is like, I'm not even going to play girls. Can we please have somebody who's progressively minded do financial content? Because Chelsea's done. She's off her rocker. I'm sorry. Like, not to like her last video series she just started. I'm just like, oh, can we please be serious? Can I get back to the numbers? I'm sorry. Am I too much of a guy? Is this my boy brain? I just want math. Somebody give me math that isn't a dirty fucking capitalist and a man. Like, is there no women on this app doing math numbers? There is. There's that one financial girlie I watch, but she's not even doing it either. Can I just have somebody who's talking about math? You know, she's like, has this new girl on talking about manifestation and like how she's not woo-woo, but how she thinks about money matters. It's fine. It's an okay video. It's just like, Can somebody please talk about math? Can you go back to the basics? There's always new people trying to buy a house. Go back to how to buy a house. Okay, that content never gets old. It just, you know what I mean? I just feel like, I don't know, her content leader just lately just doesn't make sense to me. We need somebody in this sphere. That's what I'm saying. It's so hard to find people. New channel ideas, finances with Brittany Simon. I don't think I'm ready, girl. I'm not financially where I want to be yet to be started. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm not there yet. I want to watch people that are there yet so I can start. Don't make me watch Dave Ramsey. That's a joke. I've already watched hundreds of episodes of Dave Ramsey. He drives me crazy and up the wall. But, you know, just tell me math. Stop talking to me about Jesus. Just talk to me about math. See, that's what I'm saying. Stop talking to me about Jesus. Just talk to me about numbers. Okay? I'm so sick of people. Like, just give me the math. Math is math is math, you know? Okay, let's see. Sports betting is ruining families for sure. Men buying cars and trucks they can't afford to impress nobody. Silence women buying a furry keychain. You're killing the planet. Okay, Labubus were not furry keychains. Labubus were, you know, a fast fashion trend that is already dead, that was costing people thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? But also, those men buying trucks they can't afford is patriarchy convincing men that the size of their truck is the size of their dick. It's bad. It's bad for everybody. But that's the point is like, we need to be falling in love with good people that are focused on our future. We need to focus on our future together. Remember that couple I showed? Do you remember the couple I showed? The parents who were saving for their kids. So nice. What a nice little bubble and what a nice little like, you know, people working together for bigger goals. That's what I'm saying. Where is this energy? Okay. I've never seen someone address overconsumption being aimed largely at women, and I'm honestly a little embarrassed to admit that I've never saw it either. Thank you for this. Let's see. My husband and I actually had to have a conversation about this a few years ago. We were trying to take a closer look at our finances, and he told me that I seem to be spending a lot more money than him. Then I went through all the purchases and showed him that every time I spent a significant amount of money, it was for our home or for our experience that both of us shared. He apologized immediately and said he had no idea. Okay. In my marriage, the way we have set up right now, we have a house budget and we have our budget. But like the house budget is us. There is no like you spent money for the house. What do you mean? You mean we spent money for the house? How could I make a big purchase for the house? You mean we made a big purchase for the house? How could my partner even be in a situation to think I was spending more money than him? Do you know what I'm saying? What is your financial setup that you even allow that negative thought to come into your head about your partner? What do you mean we? You mean we spent the money? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Do you see how would this problem even happen in my marriage unless somebody was stealing? And in that case, divorce. You're not about to, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying, like, when we have these conversations, you have to first ask yourself, what kind of relationship do you have and what's the setup? Okay. Let's see. Chet said, quote, women are taught to save and reduce expenses while men are taught to invest and increase income. Tori Delop, financial feminist. Oh, I don't like her very much. I read The Financial Feminist. Yes, I read the book. I don't like her. I want to, but I just like, it was okay. It was basic. It was good. It's a good start. If you've never read a financial book, start with The Financial Feminist. But okay, it's fine. I don't like her. Her lived experience isn't relatable, but it's not her the consciousness. It's the product. You know, but I did read her book. So I don't want to hear anybody tell me, oh, you didn't read the book. I read it. Okay. Shopping is labor that largely falls on women, but is only considered a problem if women shops for themselves. She's not hiding the evidence shopping when it's for her husband and children. Thank you. But feels like she has to hide it when she buys something for herself. Thank you, chatter. It's sad and unfair. No, I see women guilted all the time for shopping for others. It's like pregnancy or any kind of labor. We're supposed to want to do it. Just do it. Oh, so, okay, this person's saying they have seen it. Let's see. Yeah, I've always shopped for everyone in the family, groceries, clothes for everyone, supplies we needed, and was told the kids don't need that. I don't need it. Divorced his ass. Okay. Well, okay, then this gets down to toxic relationships. Look, I will say this about Manifestel. She seems to know her audience really well. And she must be in a very dysfunctional or unhealthy bubble, and I'm just not in that bubble. So if her content is genuinely getting women out of toxic relationships, I'm here for it. I will, you know what I'm saying? Do I think it's the end goal? No. Now, I understand, of course, that I'm not saying you should have a relationship like mine. I'm not making the prescription. But I find that a lot of the ways that my partner and I avoid a lot of the problems I hear people have is that we both pay attention to the money. We're both involved in purchasing. It's our money. It's not his money or my money. It's our money. I copied my parents' way of doing things, and I liked that they were very involved. My mother is, in charge of budgeting. She's in charge of making sure everything goes in the right place. My dad's the earner. They're retired now, but it's it's very good for you to know which model of relationship are you going after, and are you actually marrying somebody with that? I just learned of a friend of a friend of a friend whose husband is ready to lock in and budget for the house because he makes a lot of money, and the wife just refuses to stop spending money in very irresponsible ways. And I know this girl comes from a very hard background, and I think about that all the time, how it's not about her gender, it's about her trauma. It's not gender, it's trauma. Gender is the secondary play here. Yes, there is a role to play in gender, but it's secondary. First, the question is trauma around money. Money is a very traumatizing subject. It's very sensitive for us. We're very sensitive about money, okay? How you raise your kids, how your body looks, and what your wallet's filled with. It's a very sensitive topic for people, okay? Which is why they're some of the 3 main reasons for divorce, right? Sex and intimacy, kids, finances. So just be very thoughtful about how does my finances being impacted by my trauma, by my background, by my knowledge, by my understanding, and is there something there I should deconstruct? And of course there is. Look at it in the detail. Deconstruction is not to eradicate or destroy. It's to pull apart and understand in detail and then put it back together again. Be introspective, extrospective. Example. Here's an example I went through with my partner the other day. Hold on. What did I say to them? Hold on. I can't remember how the conversation started, but I remember I was wait, it was so funny too. I got locked in. I was okay, lock in. I was are you locked in? They're yeah. I was we need to talk about money. And he was okay. I was I don't like the way we're doing something. And he's okay, what is it? And then I was I think this, okay, I don't know what it is, but I want to buy vegan ice cream right now. He goes, yeah. And I was and I don't have the budget. And he was yes. And I was so how do I buy vegan ice cream when I don't have the budget? And he's you don't. I was but hear me out. I really want some vegan ice cream right now. And he's I hear you. And I was what do I do? And I sat there, I was I really wanted this snack. I was if I didn't get that snack right there and then, the whole world was going to end, And I sat there, I was what do I do? And I was I have to pace around this house. And I was am I really not going to get this ice cream because it's not in the budget? And then I sat there and I was oh my God, I am, aren't I? And this was it's $6, girl, €6. Okay, €6. And I was I feel trapped. I feel psychologically imprisoned by my own budget. And then I was okay, that's me. This is me stuff. A feeling. Okay, you know what? He's hey, you can get the ice cream. I was don't encourage me. Okay. New Britney, and it was and I hate that feeling, but that feeling is the difference between old Britney and new Britney. So then it's just again, it goes back to what is the goal and what is so we came up with a loophole that is only needed in those types of feelings. If it's really needed. One, it's the weekend and we won't have any store accessibility. A lot of the stores in Croatia are closed on Sundays, and we were going to have to go 2 to 3 days without something. 2, if we took it to next week's budget, but stayed true to it and didn't lapse over 2 months, okay, or 2 weeks, okay. So we came up with ways for me to not get triggered. Yes, PDA was PDAing without me feeling my sense of agency was being threatened, but also excited to keep within budget. So, hey, worst case, I get the ice cream, but it pulls over to next week. Okay, we start off the budget for next week at a lower rate. Okay, fine. Or we pace around the house until the craving goes away. Okay, it's about understanding where it's coming from. But girl, sometimes when I really want something, that craving, nothing will do. Just nothing is going to make me happy. So that's what I do. I either pace until, or, distract myself with the anime until I'm over the craving, or I say, fuck it, it can go in next week's budget and I'll just start off with a little bit less money. Whoo, girl. But I felt like emotionally, I felt so like, yeah, like it was like triggering my PDA. I was like, ooh, don't tell me what to do with my money. Don't tell me what to do with my money. But the truth is like, I instilled this budget on myself. So really, I'm annoyed with myself, but this is why it's so hard. I get it. I get why it is so hard. Yeah, Chad says when your animal brain takes over your economics brain. Literally. So I'm very empathetic to people spending money. I'm very empathetic to overspending. I get it. You know, I was so there. I was so struggling. And it's not that I'm not tempted, girl. I'm tempted every day. When I come back, you know, when my partner comes back from the store and I'm like, oh, did you get this? Oh, should I get this? It's like, you know, but again, nothing is more satisfying than hitting those financial goals right now. Nothing is better than staying within that budget. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have moments of temptation. It just means the difference between, you know, your past self and this self is that instead of giving into the temptation at the expense of your joy, you enact some sort of we'll make a deal, you know, attitude that doesn't come at the compromise of your budget. And that's kind of the goal, right? Is I think a lot of people are willing to compromise their joy and their happiness and their economic status for temporary relief. And I'm just trying so hard not to do that because it's so built into us. Like, this is what comfort buying is. Amazon, one click away. It's to get you, like I watched that documentary on Amazon and it rewired my brain about Amazon, that like everything they're doing is they're literally in an office, sitting in a room and saying, how do we get people to buy as quick as possible so they don't have a chance to say no? They want to exploit your vulnerabilities. And so my job is not to exploit my own vulnerabilities. And that's takes work. So be kind to yourself through this process. It's really, really hard, you know? It's really, really difficult. But it's possible. And I will say that I feel I'm just so grateful to myself that I'm working on it and changing the trajectory of my path. Because if I didn't do this work, then I would just be back where I was, and all of that debt, all of that credit card anxiety, all of that worry of like, should I file bankruptcy? Should I not? And now I don't have to think about it anymore. I used to stay up nights thinking, should I file for bankruptcy? And now I don't have to think about it because it's all taken care of, you know? Yeah. So it is what it is. Okay. Now, with that said, if Manifestel is helping people, I hope it helps people. I'm glad you guys recommended this video. I still feel like there's something more I wanted from it, but you know, wishing her all the best and her audience all the best.